In love, as in any relationship, we all long to be cherished and respected. But the harsh truth is that not everyone who enters your life comes with good intentions. Many wear a mask of sweetness and care, while underneath hides the desire to control, manipulate, and drain your energy day by day. The frightening part is that such people rarely reveal themselves at the beginning. They step into your life with charm, with promises, with false empathy. Then little by little they begin to test boundaries, push limits, and plant seeds of self-doubt. By the time you realize it, it may already be too late. You are no longer yourself, but a worn-down version of who you once were, stripped of self-respect and inner peace. Stoic philosophy thousands of years ago gave us this reminder: inner peace is the greatest wealth. Lose it, and you lose everything. And toxic relationships are the direct enemy of that peace. In this reflection, we will face the truth. There are signs that appear small, almost invisible, yet they open the door to chaos. You will see how manipulators turn emotions into weapons, play the victim to avoid responsibility, create constant drama, humiliate you in public, and ultimately isolate you from those who truly care for you. Recognizing these signs is not only the first step toward escaping the toxic cycle, but also the beginning of protecting the most precious treasure. The Stoics urge us to safeguard the peace of the soul. One of the first and most dangerous weapons toxic people use is emotion. Instead of open dialogue, they twist feelings into tools of manipulation. It is no longer sincere sharing. It becomes psychological warfare, where you are always at a disadvantage. Imagine this: you make a simple request, perhaps asking for more honesty in communication. Instead of listening and seeking a solution, they immediately turn the blame back on you. In an instant, the issue shifts. The focus is no longer on their dishonesty, but on your supposed faults. You find yourself defending, apologizing, wondering if you were wrong. This is the art of manipulation, subtly making you doubt yourself rather than confronting the truth. Toxic people also rely on tears, anger, or extreme silence at the very moment you seek clarity. When you try to hold them accountable, they suddenly cry, complain, or lash out, leaving you hesitant. You begin to think you were too harsh and retreat from your boundaries. But in reality, this is a calculated tactic, repeated over and over, using emotion as a shield to escape responsibility. Stoic philosophy has a guiding principle: if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Toxic people live in complete opposition to this. They thrive on chaos and confusion. The more disoriented you feel, the easier you are to control. And when every conversation ends with you feeling guilty while they walk away unaccountable, you are no longer in a relationship. You are trapped in a psychological battle. The danger is that over time you begin to believe the lies they plant in your mind. You start to think you really are selfish, really are inadequate, really are the one at fault. This is the trap of self-blame, the outcome they most desire. Once you doubt yourself, they hardly need to act. You will erase your own needs, lower your boundaries, and hand over control. In moments like these, the most important thing is to create space for yourself. Remember the words of Epictetus: no one can make you think differently unless you allow it. When you feel pushed into guilt but cannot clearly see your fault, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I truly wrong, or am I being led to believe I am wrong? Recognizing this truth is the first step in reclaiming your power. For as long as you remain the master of your own mind and emotions, the emotional weapons of others lose their force. And this is the Stoic spirit: not to fight back with impulsive emotion, but to stand firm with reason and inner calm. And the next subtle tactic of a toxic person is the ability to reverse roles. When confronted with the truth, instead of taking responsibility, they immediately turn themselves into the victim. This is how they leave you confused, guilty, and eventually apologizing, when in fact, they are the ones who should be accountable. Imagine this: you call out a disrespectful behavior, such as their habit of mocking you in front of others. Instead of admitting and correcting it, they snap back, You're always criticizing me. You never understand my feelings. Suddenly, the focus shifts. The conversation is no longer about their behavior, it's about your supposed insensitivity. And before you know it, you find yourself comforting them, wondering, was I too harsh? Did I really hurt them? Once again, the truth has been buried while you carry the weight of guilt. Toxic people wield this tactic like a distorted mirror. Anytime you reflect their behavior back to them, the mirror twists until you see the fault in yourself. This is the essence of gaslighting making. You doubt your memory, your perception, even your sanity. Stoic philosophy reminds us, truth does not change, only the way we face it does. Toxic individuals want you to run from truth by flipping the script. They cry, they lament, they turn every conversation into a performance where they are the wounded victim and you are the heartless offender. But never forget, tears are not always sincerity, and complaints are not always born of genuine weakness. More often, they are weapons of control. What's more frightening is that over time, you may begin to believe that you are the toxic one. You apologize more, you stay silent more, you give in more, just to keep the peace. In reality, you are losing your own voice. In such moments, Stoic wisdom teaches something crucial. You must distinguish between genuine feelings and feelings staged to manipulate. If the facts are clear, but the other person always turns it into personal tragedy, recognize that this is not love, it is theater. And you do not need to play a role in that play. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You can stand firm before the truth, for the truth cannot harm the soul." That is why instead of being swept into the whirlpool of someone else's emotions, hold on to reason. You are not obligated to carry every emotion they project onto you. Give responsibility back to where it belongs and preserve your own peace. After making you doubt yourself with emotional weapons, and by reversing roles the toxic person takes another step, they inject endless drama and an insatiable need for control into the relationship. This is when you begin to feel as though you are living inside a storm that never ends. The smallest things become conflicts. An offhand comment, a delayed text reply, even harmless silence, all are blown into arguments. And while you struggle in the chaos, they stand aside draped in the image of the innocent or the misunderstood victim. The cruel irony is this. The more chaos there is, the deeper you are pulled into the role of the peacemaker. You are constantly explaining, apologizing, soothing, negotiating, just to keep a fragile calm. But the truth is, this peace never existed. It is only the brief pause between storms they themselves create. Stoic philosophy saw through this long ago. Seneca once said, "The one who angers you conquers you." Toxic people twist this truth. They manufacture drama not to resolve issues but to unbalance you. When you are angry, panicked, or exhausted, you are easier to control. You can see this clearly in how they manipulate the relationships around you. They may say one thing to you but tell an entirely different story to others. They sow suspicion between you and those close to you, forcing you to play mediator in conflicts you never created. While you run yourself ragged putting out fires, they sit back satisfied with their successful manipulation. If you pay attention, you will notice the same cycle drama: apology, reconciliation, and then more drama. The cycle repeats, draining your spirit. Toxic people feed on this loop because drama gives them one thing: power. But remember, Stoic wisdom teaches us true strength does not come from controlling others, but from remaining steady amidst chaos. If a relationship makes you feel as though you are walking through an endless storm, then that is not love. It is only control disguised as passion. You were not born to be a supporting actor in someone else's chaotic play. You deserve a relationship that offers safety and stillness, the very thing the Stoics call inner freedom. After you've been swept into the whirlwind of drama and control, another sign slowly emerges: the inconsistency in how they treat you. This is one of the most damaging tactics because it strikes directly at your worth and dignity. In private, they can be tender and sweet. They whisper promises of a beautiful future, shower you with affection, and do everything to make you believe you are loved. But the moment you step into public, among friends, colleagues, or family, they become someone entirely different, sarcastic, mocking, even belittling you openly. At first, you may brush it off as a joke, but as the jokes repeat, they leave scars. Each sneer, each condescending glance chips away at you. And what hurts most is when others laugh along while you stand there unsure how to respond. If you push back, you're told you're too sensitive, and if you stay silent, you allow them to keep repeating it. This is the deadly contradiction: in private, you're cherished. In public, you're humiliated. This two-faced behavior leaves you confused. You cling to their private tenderness as proof that they still love me, even as the public humiliation carves deeper wounds into your self-respect. The psychological effect is devastating. You begin to lose confidence in your own value. You stop asserting your views, stop defending yourself. You walk through the relationship as if on thin ice, knowing one wrong word, one wrong gesture could turn you into the punchline again. This tactic has a clear purpose: to keep you beneath them. By shrinking you in the eyes of others, they reinforce their control in the relationship. The less respect you receive publicly, the harder it becomes to find support outside. And as your self-belief crumbles, you grow more dependent on the private tenderness they ration out like rewards. But that is not love. Love does not selectively respect. If someone truly values you, they will show it consistently in private and in public. When respect becomes a tool of manipulation, sweetness to keep you close, humiliation to keep you bound, that relationship has already crossed the line into toxicity. And when respect has been worn away, the toxic partner often moves to the next step, isolating you from those who matter most. This is one of the most dangerous tactics because it strips away your support network, the very people who could help you see the truth and break free. At first, this isolation feels subtle. They sigh when you go out with friends or make offhand remarks like, "I don't think your friends are really good for you." Slowly, hints become complaints, and complaints become demands. "I don't want you seeing them anymore," or "You only need me." Meanwhile, friends and family start to notice. They see you less, hear less from you. And when asked, you give a nervous smile, "I've just been busy." But in reality, you are being pulled away from those who were once your anchor. This isolation is not only social, but emotional. Toxic people plant the idea that no one else truly understands or loves you like they do. They make you believe that turning to friends or family will only bring judgment or disappointment. Once that belief takes root, you begin cutting off ties yourself without them having to say a word. And when you no longer have anyone to confide in, you become completely dependent on them. A single word of praise, a harsh remark, even their silence has the power to dictate your emotional state for an entire day. That is when they achieve absolute power, not with visible chains, but by stripping away every other support in your life. The most frightening part is how gradual this isolation is. You won't wake up one morning to find yourself alone. It happens step by step, with every declined invitation, every unanswered call, until one day you realize you've been quietly led into loneliness. But the truth is this: a healthy love never asks you to give up those closest to you. On the contrary, it encourages and honors your healthy connections. If someone demands all of you and drives away every other influence that is not love, it is possession. If you realize you are losing connection with the world outside because of one person's stop and ask yourself, do they want me happy, or do they just want me to belong to them? The answer will reveal whether you are in a relationship that nourishes or one that cages you under the disguise of love. Looking back, the pattern becomes clear: toxic people do not show their true face at once. They advance step by step, quietly but deliberately. First, they use emotions as weapons, making you doubt yourself. Then they reverse roles, casting themselves as victims to escape blame. Next, they stir drama, creating chaos to keep you off balance. When you are exhausted, they humiliate you in public to hold power. And finally, they isolate you from those who care for you, leaving themselves as the only center of your world. These 5 signs are not random. They are part of a calculated chain. And if you recognize them in your relationship, be brave enough to face the truth. Real love never demands that you sacrifice your dignity, your peace, or your cherished connections. The most important truth is this: you have a choice. You have the right to protect your inner peace. You do not have to play someone else's psychological game, nor accept a love built on control. If these reflections resonate with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Your story may help someone else see the truth before it's too late. And don't forget to like and subscribe to continue walking with us through lessons in psychology and Stoic philosophy that help you grow stronger and clearer every day. Because in the end, protecting your inner peace is not just a choice. It is how you preserve the greatest value of your life.